Roman Callahan was sorting laundry when a 7-foot hologram of coherent blue light materialized in his cramped apartment. "Mr. Callahan," the being chimed in perfect synthetic English. "I am Tees of the Valari Ascendancy. We require your expertise in matters of galactic importance, specifically your documented history of high-impact illogical outcomes." Roman stared at the alien, then at his half-sorted socks. "You need someone who screws up and gets lucky. We believe it is a cognitive function our species cannot replicate. We require you to teach us." The Valeri had studied Earth's military files. Roman's career-ending assessment read strategic dementia, a polite way of describing how his operations defied logic yet somehow succeeded spectacularly. Anya the Avalanche Olova was watching replay footage in her trophy room when Tees appeared beside her marble statue. "We have analyzed your career," the alien explained. "You possess a unique ability to psychologically destabilize opponents through theatricality." Anya grinned, the same smile that had sold millions in merchandise. "You want me for one last show. We want you for the main event." At a derelict racetrack, Rocket Riley spat contemptuously as Tees materialized. The alien offered her a vehicle that manipulated localized gravity, controlled by direct neural interface. The track, however, is considerably more three-dimensional, Tees added. Riley's eyes ignited with dangerous fire. "I'm in." In his workshop, what federal agents would call a target-rich environment, Sparks yelped as Tees appeared. The alien offered him molecular-level fabrication technology and a full pardon for his unsolicited urban beautification projects. "Your canvas will be the cosmos," Tees explained. Sparks dropped his screwdriver. "It's Christmas." Aboard the Valeri vessel * logical conclusion *, the unlikely team assembled in a seamless white chamber. Roman surveyed his recruits, a retired pro wrestler, a disgraced race car driver, and a demolitions-obsessed gremlin. "You skinned 8 billion people and came up with a circus act," Roman said flatly. Tees explained the threat. The Rustborn, a species that worshipped entropy and ignored self-preservation. Their tactics were suicidally brutal, making them impossible for logical Valeri combat models to predict. They operate on a logic of decay, a force of nature we cannot compute. Your species were classified as a Tier 6 existential hazard due to its paradoxical blend of extreme aggression, irrational altruism, and strategic dementia. "So you want us to be strategically stupid?" Roman asked. "Precisely." Their first engagement proved the point. When Rustborn scouts swarmed their canyon position, Roman's logical pincer movement was completely ignored. Instead, Anya opened the rear hatch and struck a pose. "Your construction is aesthetically displeasing," she bellowed at the charging horde. The Rustborn faltered. Their simple programming had no subroutine for a target that wasn't fighting or fleeing but yelling nonsense. Sparks launched a drone that toppled a massive rock spire into the canyon, creating an impassable roadblock and splitting the enemy formation. Riley dropped their transport like a stone, skimming inches above the canyon floor, threading between war bikes while a shield screamed from debris impacts. Within 90 seconds, the Rustborn weren't just defeated. They were routed, humiliated, and sliding around on rainbow-colored lubricant from Sparks' disco bombs. Roman took a deep breath. Nobody ever do any of that ever again. Nobody listened. They were too busy cheering. Untraining day proved frustrating. Roman tried teaching Valerie pilots about feints and deception, but their predictive algorithms were too perfect. They'd already run millions of simulations and knew the Rustborn wouldn't react logically anyway. Anya's combat lesson was more successful. Facing a flawless Valerie warrior, she began humming a sea shanty and doing the robot badly. The warrior's combat AI dedicated massive processing power to analyzing the meaningless data, creating the opening she needed for a classic wrestling takedown. Riley fought her ship's safety overrides until she learned to work with them, using inertial dampeners as a slingshot to perform impossible three-dimensional power slides. When Roman designed a perfect kill-box ambush, the Rustborn did something unthinkable. They used their own dead as a bridge, filling the minefield with mangled bodies and driving over the carnage. "They are not supposed to do that," Roman whispered. The battle devolved into chaos. During the retreat, Riley's suicidal flying saved Roman's life, while the dead-weight armor plating he'd insisted on, the same plating she'd mocked, saved them both from a mine explosion. In the fabrication bay, the humans began creating beautifully ugly war machines. They taught the Valerie fabricators to think illogically, building weapons that control catastrophic shield failures and confetti cannons of doom that fired clouds of sensor-disrupting razor glitter. Roman stood before his tactical whiteboard, covered in complex diagrams. Then he picked up the eraser and wiped it clean. "There is no plan," he announced. The humans erupted in cheers. Tease observed from the doorway, processing this terrifyingly potent new logic. The real enemy was a Rust mother, a corrupted Valerie fabricator turned into a mobile temple of decay, crawling toward the capital city. The team infiltrated its mechanical hell, where Roman's observation skills proved crucial. While others saw only rust and grime, he spotted the original Valerie design patterns beneath, finding hidden maintenance passages that bypass heavily fortified positions. They lobotomized a massive machine, but its destruction sent Warlord Slag into a rage. The hulking brute abandoned strategy and sent his entire fleet in a vengeful charge toward the capital. Tease addressed the Valerie High Council with newfound steel in his chimes. "The logic of perfection has failed us. The humans have given us a philosophy, the logic of the storm, strength in imperfection. Sometimes the only way to survive is to be as unpredictable as a hurricane." The council wavered, then nodded. Minutes later, a new kind of fleet arose, Valerie ships flying with beautiful, ugly modifications and gloriously imperfect tactics. The final battle was a symphony of controlled mayhem. Valerie pilots executed sloppy but effective maneuvers, while sparks filled the sky with razor-sharp glitter. But the jaw of ruin, Slag's dreadnought, still bore down on the capital. Roman had a memory, a spinning tank turret launched by a core overload. "We're going to need a volunteer vehicle as a launch pad," he announced. The plan was insane. Use a controlled explosion to launch their ship like a cannonball at the enemy dreadnought. Riley would pilot a tumbling projectile using only emergency thrusters, landing on a moving target that was actively trying to kill them. "This is the single most idiotic plan I've ever been presented with," Roman said with a wild grin. "Let's do it." The execution was brutal perfection. The angel of ascent shot upward like a cannonball, Riley wrestling the controls through impossible G-forces and wild tumbles. They crashed onto the dreadnought spine with gut-wrenching force. On the bridge, Warlord Slag waited, a mountain of rage welded into stolen armor. Anya faced him in the ring where she belonged, not with strength but with psychology. "Is that the best you can do?" she taunted, dodging his clumsy swings. My grandmother hits harder, and she's 97 and mostly complains about cabbage prices. She picked apart his ego with surgical precision until rage made him sloppy. When he charged in blind fury, Anya executed her signature move, the Siberian suplex, slamming the warlord headfirst into his own deck. Victory belonged to Chaos. The Rustborn fleet scattered without their leader. From the captured Dreadnought's bridge, the humans watched Valerie pilots celebrating with clumsy, joyous chest bumps. Riley patched her music system into the ship's comm array, blasting triumphant rock anthems across the battlefield. Tease joined them, stepping over Slag's unconscious form. His voice had evolved beyond mechanical chimes into something warmer, more resonant. "You did not teach us how to win," he said, watching the beautiful mess unfold. "You taught us why winning is worth the mess." Roman looked at his circus act of a team, the wild-card demolitions artist, the daredevil driver, the wrestler with a heart of gold. He looked at the chaos they'd wrought and the perfect civilization they'd saved. "We're kind of good at that," he said, managing a weary smile. The Valeri had learned the most human lesson of all. Sometimes the only way to fight monsters is to become beautifully, gloriously, strategically insane.